Hell yeah. Think about it. Cool dudes. No, yeah, dude, last night was a fucking blast. Let's get right on into it. What's up? It's Whatchu Spinnin' episode 80. I'm Dorian. That's Matt. That's Jake. Jake, how are you doing?
Fantastic.
Good to hear. Matt, how are you doing?
Doing good. A little sleepy, but we're okay.
A little sleepy. Thanks for getting us home safe, my guy. Yeah. Last night, we'll go in backwards order. We'll just go more recent, and then we'll recall last week afterward. We went to a couple concerts since we last recorded. Last night was Peter Cat Recording Co. An evening with them, as they refer to it, up in Portland at the Wonder Ballroom. That was a blast and a half.
Pretty cool venue. I liked it.
They had dinner with us. That was nice of the band. So,
Yeah.
It was cool. It was fun. They were great performers, all around, great musicians. I didn't realize how talented they were. Like all of them, switching around and playing different instruments. That was so fun to watch.
Yeah.
That was crazy. I definitely preferred the lead singer vocal,
Right,
as opposed to everybody else's, but they all did a great job.
Oh yeah, and it was it's like, hey, the two that ended up singing were the ones that did the most stuff. I felt like
with all the different instruments.
With all the different instruments, and then they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna sing our own song too, and I was like, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, I did not anticipate all the switching around that they did. I knew that there were trumpets, but I didn't anticipate that would be like the woodwinds and everything would be such like a part of it. And it was just like two dudes the entire time, just trading off. Like that was super cool. And Jake, you said it was nowhere near what it was when you saw them open for Khruangbin, right?
No, not at all. They played a lot more of the new album. Like
last night they did?
Yeah, when they opened for Krong, it was mainly just like Bismillah, but yesterday there was a bunch of new stuff and a couple of songs on there that the other dudes that sing, I guess they're in that album. Like those songs are in the album. So I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know it was a different guy either. I was like, it kind of sounded somewhat the same, but with like an effect. But it was actually two different guys. So that was cool. And then they were hella engaged too with the crowd. Like it was a good crowd too. Like,
making fun of us and
pretty
stuff,
lively.
calling us weirdos.
You cool. Fucking weirdos. Yeah. That was kind of what I was telling Audrey this morning, is that I didn't anticipate. I was like, yeah, these guys are popular. Obviously, they're doing a show at the Wonder Ballroom with no opener. So I knew that obviously they had fans. It sold exactly. It sold out. I didn't realize like that they had so many die-hard fans. Like there were so many people singing the words to songs that like off of the new album. I was like, I don't even know this one, and I felt I feel like I know Bismillah pretty well. I'll be damned if it doesn't pop up on my Spotify Wrapped in a couple weeks. But yeah, so that was really cool to see. A bunch of people showing up, showing out, and singing their hearts off, like. And yeah, everything down to the lighting was super sick. We talked about like the positioning of them might have not been great, but I have a video that I'll plug in probably right about here of a song where they're like alternate, like the lighting it's like switching, and it's just so in tune with the music.
I don't know what it is, but I would do anything for you.
And yeah, man, shout out Peter Cat. That was fucking sick.
Yeah, that was a great show. That was a great show. They delivered so well, dude. And like some of the stuff like was a lot more thought out. Also, like the way it was thought out that they did it, because when they opened for Krong, it was just like super quick. Super quick, and this was like almost over 2 hours, like that they were playing.
Yeah, because they started like 8:45 ish.
Yeah,
they went on till over past 10:30.
Yeah, it was past 10:30. It was like, what they're still going.
It was 10. It was 10 like 50 by the time they stopped on stage. Which if you give like the intro that they did after 8:45, it was. I was like, I did the timing of it. I was like, that's basically 2 hours with no significant break. So that was super cool. Yeah, man. The guy that with the like shaggy hair that played guitar mainly, his song I had heard off on the new album, and I just assumed that it was an effect that they did on the main dude's voice. As I said, the singer has the exact energy that you would anticipate, just tired. He's just he just looks tired. He like takes off his jacket, and it's like you know, it looks like they all just came out and just went right up into it, and they're wearing their like, you know, their suit jackets, you know, with like the elbow pads and shit. I'm like, it was the exact aesthetic that I was looking for. I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I would anticipate. Yeah. And then, you know, he takes the jacket off and he's all unbuttoned and he just is like dancing and like getting into it. But I was like, man, he just looks like his just demeanor was just like, meh. I was like, that's so cool. And he had like, there were multiple women screaming for him last night. I was like, I was like, and I was like, I get it. I get why Elvis ruined America. Cause like this, I was like, this man's swaying his hips. And I was like, I'm over here like, I'm like, hey, I can see why Elvis ruined the world. This guy's like got me transfixed. I'm like, he just looks so just mad, doesn't give a fuck, but
yeah,
he had the Bowie moves, man.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Reminded me of Bowie.
Yeah,
like the way he was moving on stage and swaying.
Yeah, he's just like tired Bowie. We love it.
Tired Bowie.
Let's, before we do that, yesterday in Portland was also pretty sick. We got some good records.
Yeah, I went overboard.
I definitely did
about
too.
5 different albums of all sorts of genres and.
Favorite pickups go. What'd you pick? What was your favorite?
Marilyn Manson, Portrait of an American Family bootleg, but it's on vinyl, so.
Damn. Fucking Angela, I don't know how found Seychelles. I've been looking for that for a while, bro.
You mentioned that 2 episodes ago. I want to say.
Yeah, and it's been on there that I've been like, it's been on my radar for a while. Oh so she was like, just found it. I was like, look at this. I was like, that was a find. That was my find for sure of yesterday.
Yeah, I want to say, yeah, probably. I don't know. Maybe getting this one just because I had been waiting for it for a really long time. Hate by Die Hard is Murder, some deathcore, beautiful quality on vinyl.
What would you call that monster on the album cover? If it had a name.
It's a freaking Hydra made out of rocks. It's like a Hydra made out of rocks or something.
Yeah. It's epic. I love it.
It's badass.
That's really cool.
That was cool. Got the 20th anniversary version of Deftones self-titled, but yeah, I'd say that one because that I had been, like I told you guys, I'd kept going up, seeing it, and I was like, you know what, maybe I'll just go home with it. And I was looking closer. There's less than 3,000 copies of that pressing, so not too bad.
Nice,
I'll take that. So that was really fun. We ate burgers off of a giant guitar. And then
it was a guitar. Huh?
You alluded to this. We went to Cliff's Bar, which was like attached to the Wonder Ballroom, and like 2 tables behind us, the band just happened to be there, just eating, just Peter Cat eating burgers. Yeah. So that ruled. But let's go back even further.
Yeah, because we were in Portland before that.
Wednesday.
Before time.
The land before time, as it were. The 25th of September, we went and saw good old Billy Woods. William Woods on Venmo. I can't confirm.
Pay the man.
Billy Woods at Polaris again.
Yeah,
I gotta
cool
say,
venue.
I love that fucking venue.
Yeah.
Anytime, if you see a concert at Polaris, let me know.
Yeah.
I'll fucking try to go because it's a sick little spot. But yeah, what did you guys think of Billy's solo with Kenny Siegel?
Man,
we can't discount that. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, it was great, man. It was so good. He was so like at some points super passionate and like almost angry in a way when he was rapping.
When he first started the set, he was pissed
God.
off, and then he kind of calmed down, I think, a little bit.
But like starting off with like SpongeBob, and then like the
Steak Knives.
Steak Knives, like all these like bangers after bangers, and he's just like delivering, man. He is delivering. Also cool, kind of Kenny Siegel doing some beats before the show. That was cool. Also. To meet Kenny.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
younger Kenny Siegel.
5 years in the
The
past.
sound guy was a lookalike, and we had no idea. So
We
watched people go up and do the same thing we thought we should do, but I don't think we ever did it. Jake, you did it.
I had to.
You had to do it.
It was. I was like, I was foaming at the mouth. I had to know. I was like, is that Kenny? It was not him.
Well, our problem was he was killing it. This random sound guy was playing like insane beats. Like I did. We were like, oh, that's an Aphex Twin song, but he was like doing stuff that he made, and I was like, damn, dude, this guy's killing. I was like, it might be Kenny. I was like, this guy killed. I was like, this guy's crushing so hard, it might be fucking Siegel.
He looks exactly like him.
Yeah,
we pulled up pictures and we're like, oh, maybe.
and we're enjoying ourselves a little bit. I was pretty stoned, and I'm like just dying laughing, like pretty loudly, and I'm like, it like there's no way it's him. But
like 30 minutes later, the actual one comes like the same fucking dude.
Yeah, literally I said I was like, one's a chalk outline of the other.
Yeah,
it's literally just larger and then smaller. But all that to say, Kenny Siegel's beats prior to Billy coming out were incredible.
It's cool to hear that. See that side of him doing his solo stuff for us.
Oh yeah, I'll plug in a video right about here. Just kidding, it's already happened.
And then Billy was good. I feel like any performance that we've seen, the two that we've seen, he's just always just on point.
Yeah,
and like he's passionate about it and there to perform and likes his audience and likes Portland. Apparently, he keeps coming back. To come to do this Hiding Places tour in Portland. One of how many stops? 5 or 6?
Yeah.
Maybe a few more.
3 on the West Coast, 2 on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm. So it means he's got some love for this part of the country, and we love him as much. So it was cool to see him again doing his solo act. He's if you know Billy Woods, seeing him live is going to be the same thing. It's what you get. Yeah. What you see is what you get.
Yeah, and Cavalier fucking killed too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Seeing him again too made me a fan.
Yeah,
his new album rocks.
Yeah, that was really cool too, because when you told us the Cavalier's opening, I was like, oh shit, like hell yeah, and he played stuff that I heard the last time that when he opened for Arm & Hammer, and I was like, oh yeah, good, like hell yeah, he's still doing this stuff. And then like I've said a handful of times, the stuff he played off the new album, I was like, I have to go listen to that, and I've been trying to make a point to, but I have yet to. But it's on my list for sure.
It's good, man. Definitely give it a listen. It's almost like after that show, after his performance, because he was also super like direct with the audience. Like he was like, communicating, joking around. He was a lot more like relaxed, it seemed, than last year. So that was good too. He was like way more comfortable. He fucking killed. And we got some merch. That was a cool thing. We got to also meet Kenny and Cavalier and Billy Woods. Yeah. Had a conversation with them.
Yeah, that was really cool. I told them about seeing them the year prior, and just told it like I didn't like nerd out too hard and didn't like formally introduce myself, but just told him I was like just huge fucking fan, man. I was like I basically just told him I was like, I'm getting into your stuff like the past handful of years, and it's just a crazy rabbit hole. And then complimented Cavalier. I was like, dude, I was like, you fucking crushed, dude. I was like, instant fan. I was like, we saw you do Soundcheck last year. And he's like, oh, for real? I was like, yeah, we were so confused. And then we're like, oh, fuck, that was the opener. I was like, because we saw you like just get up on stage and we're like, what the hell's happening? And so I had a little conversation with him about that. And then, Venmo'd Billy Woods, which is probably going to be my claim to fame when he wins, a Pulitzer Prize at some point. Yeah, and the one thing that we kind of pointed out is like his rapping voice is like pretty unique. He talks exactly like that.
Yeah,
he does.
It's like we're like around the corner from him, and you just hear, yeah, and it's like, oh yeah, that's rapper weed. Like, it's exactly fucking. But yeah, he did A Day in a Week in a Year.
In my life, I'm gonna be like, yo, I was standing right there, boxes under the stairs, fast old Nike Air still tight. Dust them off like I remember working nights for this pair.
Audio cut out, or his mic cut out like half or like at the end of that, but still got that, which was huge for me. Like hearing that, like seeing that song live, he ramped it up again on that. Was like really delivering some of those lines. I managed to snag a video of that, and I like watched it earlier today because I was sending myself stuff to plug in, and I was like, I gotta I gotta put this in.
Yeah,
because he's just like right there. I'm like, God damn, bro. And just the red light, like that's all that was. And just him, Kenny, and the stage lit with red. Just such an aesthetic. And yeah,
got some Asylum too.
Right out here, in the evenings, he take a sniff to whisk on the brand. I wonder what he's thinking. In the mornings, the maid bring coffee from the kitchen. Some night strange music plays. I lay in bed and listen.
Got some stuff off
We got
Atheos.
everything. Yeah, we got a lot of things.
yeah,
It wasn't just hiding places, which I appreciated.
Yeah, Maps also. It was fucking nice.
He did year zero. He was
Yeah.
doing some Maps deep
Like,
cuts. I was like, God
We're
damn.
gonna bring out Danny Brown.
know, where's
Almost.
Yeah, so that was Hangman. He did some really cool shit. So that's cool. And he kind of like told some of the backstory, between him and Kenny working together, which was pretty interesting. And he's like, my children thank you for that beat on Paraffin, Kenny. Like, so that was kind of cool, just seeing their relationship further, getting like a little insight to that. And dude, Kenny Siegel's probably one of the best hip hop producers right now. Like, I would say probably top 3.
Oh yeah, the shit he's doing is very like experimental.
Oh yeah,
like it's deeper underground. I feel like than a Blockhead, Alchemist. Like, but it's good.
Yeah, like the interlude stuff that he was doing. Like, we watched Billy basically tell him, send me that beat. Like, don't fucking touch it. Just send me that.
Yeah.
On stage.
Right.
And
that was cool.
So that was pretty sick. But fuck yeah, man. Billy Woods, 5 years to Hiding Places. Right up above me. Go ahead and listen to that.
Got the shirt.
Oh yeah. The merch was sick.
The merch was fucking cool.
Hell yeah.
Worth that weight.
Anything else before we move on into the questions, boys? For this
No.
week. Excellent. Yeah. If you had to pick, is there one that you liked more?
Oh, between the shows? Ooh. No. I like them both the same.
I like them both for different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was,
I was going to say it was cool to see Peter Cat live and see how they perform and do their thing. So.
Yeah. And to see just the amount of things moving hands. Like the only person
shifting everything. Like,
the only person who stayed in one spot was the fucking drummer.
Yeah.
And he kills.
Like the sax dude was playing bass and then he would go sing and then he'd fucking go do guitar. Like,
yeah.
It was crazy.
Wonderful. Hell yeah. If you ever get a chance, see either of those, if you like them at all. And honestly, stick around in line to at least say, hey, what's up to Billy Woods. But don't bring your entire record collection to have him sign.
Yeah,
that's
dude, fuck that.
That's the biggest hand job move of all time.
Don't have your bag with you.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy.
Anyway, this is Whatchu Spinnin, episode 80. We're going to go ahead and transition into the questions section of today's episode. Stick around.
Yeah, I didn't either. It's going to be improv.
Yeah, that's kind of why I was like, yeah, it'll probably be best anyway. Hell yeah. It's time for some questions. And Matt popped these out earlier this week, and, we agreed.
That's what happens.
They were pretty solid. So yeah, these are all curated by Matt. I'll go ahead and read them off, and Matt, I'll have you answer the first one first, and then we'll pinball it. Matt, does music have the power to change your mood? How does music affect you?
Yes.
A two-parter. What you got?
I was trying to tell my son about this the other day, about how music affects my mood and helps me unwind and unleash a lot of the stress of life, whether it's anger or sadness or a mix of both. I find music is very, very helpful to be that stress reliever. Even if you don't have somebody to talk to, you can blare something heavy and get that emotion out, something soft and cry it out. So I tried to kind of give that impression to them that music's helpful in that way. And so for me, music changes my mood all the time. You know, whether it's going to work and listening to music, being able to have music on during work affects my mood all day. It keeps me positive, keeps me going. And so I think music is that powerful. It can basically set who you are. So, yeah. That question is a tough one because how does it not affect your mood?
Yeah,
right.
Right.
Well, because I think it's a good question in that sense, because it's how does it specifically impact your mood, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, and it's crazy that I managed to buy this because it's up on the wall. This album, Hate by Die Art Is Murder. Say what you want about their former lead singer. He didn't write any of their shit. This album kills. I have spun this and a litany of other, albums, but this one in particular I'll just use as reference. I've spun it when I'm like feeling depressed and it's gotten me out of that. And when I'm angry, it like will calm me down, even though it's, insane music. And then like you said, to pump me up to go to work, I've played it, just on like it's Friday, baby, let's get ourselves fucking going, drive to work. But there's a ton of music that I listen to that I feel like will do all three of those things and then some for me. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't just make me want to put my head through a wall. It doesn't make me want to cry. It does all of that, and it makes me happy, or it's like, I want to put this on in the background. So, yeah, I don't know. That's like, I think that's about it. That's about all I could say.
At some points, too, it feels like you don't necessarily need music to be there, but it's like you can have it in the background or just have something to come up to afterwards. Like sometimes if I'm at work or if I'm like coming off of work, I'm feeling sluggish, I'm feeling tired. But music will just kind of not necessarily in a sense like pump me up again. Sometimes it definitely will if I'm like going somewhere, but it's just kind of easy to be there. Like it's in the background. One way or another, it's always around, I feel like.
Right.
If you want it to or not. Like you're at the grocery store, you hear it. You're walking down the street, someone's blasting out of the car. Like it's always kind of there, and that's what's comforting about it to me. Is definitely it changes my moods. And just like a little hint of one, I'm always kind of also on edge. I'm like, oh, that sounds like this, or I recognize that from this. So that too, it's like just a constant part of your life when you've been around it so long. So how wouldn't it?
Right.
How wouldn't it affect your day to day? And that's the good thing about it. That music is kind of that venue to get those like productivity, those feelings, you know, in your day to day life.
And to go on the back, like putting something on in the background, I feel like even having something at like a barely registerable volume to like your ear, to me at least, because like I've got like constantly like my mind's just going a mile a minute almost all the time, and it's like one of the things that I've really appreciated about kind of falling down this rabbit hole of like the more ambient side of music, the Eno, the Twin, all of that stuff is it's like I can just put this on and it's like. It's like soft, but like there's some stuff that'll like barely catch your ear if you're able to hear it, and it kind of like makes my brain like shut off for just a second, like it'll delete at least 5 of the 12 thoughts I have, which is super fucking helpful when I'm trying to make dinner. I'm like, just put on fucking window liquor and we'll be fine. So that's kind of like what I appreciate about background music, and like there's certain genres that are perfect for that for me, and that's like the jazz, the more breaks and beats, type of stuff. So excellent question.
Glad you liked it.
Shall we move on?
Let's move on.
Okay. This is a really fun one that I wish I would have thought about because I could list so many right now. Do you have any favorite covers of songs by different artists? And fuck, man, I don't know if this is my favorite cover, but goddamn, it's top 3. And I'm just going to throw this out there because I was literally talking about this cover in particular with my buddy Mike like 2 days ago. Korn's cover of Word Up by Cameo. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Word Up.
Yep.
Korn did a cover of that in like 2006 or something, just random. It's awesome. It's got the fieldy bass and everything. And it's you listen to the Korn version, you're like, that kicks ass, and then you go and listen to Cameo's version, you're like, oh yeah, of course Korn would cover this. Like, it just makes too much sense. So that's always been good. I'm sure I'll think of a different one.
I had trouble finding some, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I like covers. Sometimes if I like know the original and know the after, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Not so much that they're like, you know, sampling it or whatever, but they're like just, you know, doing the same thing. I think just because I kind of thought about it yesterday when we were record digging, Bjork, her cover for that one song, I forget what song on.
Yeah, I don't know which song.
It's Oh So Quiet.
Oh So Quiet. Yes, thank you. Yeah, the cover for that, I was like, what the like? I just reminisced about it yesterday because we were looking through the Bjork section to see what they had. And I was like, oh, and then I was looking at the track list, and that one came up. So I was like, oh, that one's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, covers, I'm not so much like I'm after, you know.
Yeah.
It's not something I look that much for. I definitely should, but if I recognize it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, I only have a couple. Like one would be Jane's Addiction, Sympathy, the Stones
Oh,
cover they do.
Sympathy. Yeah, there's
That's a good one.
The devil. That's a good one.
Jeff Buckley does another one called "What Will You Say" off a live album.
Okay.
I'm not sure who the original singer is, but the song is epic. It's like one of his more epic songs. If you ever get a chance to listen to it, what will you say?
Other shout out, other ones that came to my mind just now. Aerosmith's cover of "Come Together" by the Beatles is really good. Almost better than the original, in my opinion. There's a couple other really good ones out there. This is a random one, and it might not be good, but it's just coming to my head because I think it was the first cover I ever heard. There's a weird band called Nonpoint that did a cover of "In the Air Tonight," and it kind of gave it like this like early 2000s kind of rock, like hard rock kind of feel to "In the Air Tonight," and it was not terrible to my recollection. If it sucks and you hear about it, please let me know.
Tell us, yes, please.
Yeah, but there's a plenty of others. Fuck. Yeah, there's plenty of other really good covers out there. I'm sure I'll think of, and we'll bring them up. Moving on.
Yeah, it was just a random question. You know?
I like that one. It had me think about it a little bit.
How has technology changed the way that we listen to music today?
I can go first.
Go ahead.
I think it's cool seeing the difference and the like, just the constant one-upping of technology, especially in music. To still even think about how the fuck a record player works, like a record, because it's just like grooves and wax that it like makes sounds, it makes vibrations.
I could take 3 years of college courses on how a record player works, and I still would have no fucking idea. Like I cannot wrap my head around it.
And like the stylus, the needle, like dragging through everything, like it's crazy. And then like just the smallest amount of dust or whatever fucks with the sound, or it'll make popping, whatever.
It's the most intricate system of all time.
Yeah, it's crazy to look at, see it live, but like just the constant one-upping. You know, there was MP3 players and then CD players, and there's a bunch of different stuff. And now, you know, it's you walk into a room and you could start playing music instantly just off your phone. So it's like kind of cool that it's constantly and also so accessible to everyone. Like everyone is available to get music anywhere. Anyone can put anything out that they want. It's cool, and it kind of adds a lot more like creativity. Like I feel like us, especially a lot of people being musicians, like learning an instrument or whatever, they've thought about at some point, like, you know, what if I try making my own song? What if I try doing my own thing? And that's like possible. You know, it's like anyone can do that nowadays.
That's a very good point that you made at the end there. Like anybody, like to be quite honest with you, like I have a machine in there that I spent like $100 on, and it plugs right into my computer, and I could record like on a free program. If you spend $100 and spend about 2 hours of research, you're recording by the end of the night.
Yeah.
So that's insane. And to kind of piggyback on, like, you know, you said you walk into a room and play music. The inverse of that I've really come to appreciate lately is you could be in a public place and hear something and be like, is that Bowie? Or is that so-and-so? And you just pull up your phone and you can just fucking Shazam it and it'll tell you what it is. Like, we were in Utah and Audrey's brother was like, "This is like a kind of a good song. Like, what is this?" And I was like, "I think this is Buena Vista Social Club." And I was like, "I can't be sure though." I was like, "I definitely recognize it." And I pulled it up, and it was in fact Buena Vista. And I was like, "Yeah, it's this song." And another couple songs later, I was like, "Oh, this is also good." Blah blah blah. To also say, we went to Marche for her birthday, and they were playing just incredible jazz music. I had to pee a ton that night because I was drinking water like a madman, and I was just shazamming every time I went to the bathroom. And I have a whole playlist that's like 8 of the songs on it are from the fucking bathroom of Marche. I'm not kidding. So yeah, I think that's a huge tool for people. Kind of like a couple episodes back when I was like, I think streaming has been a huge help to people being able to discover stuff. I think Shazam, like that ability is super cool, because concerts are huge now. People are going just to see a headliner, and there's people like that probably didn't know Cavalier, and Shazam. If they're like, "What is this song? What did he say the title was? I don't think he said it." Shazam, boom, there you go. So I think that's something that I personally am taking advantage of a lot more lately. I've noticed because I'm just, constantly trying to find new stuff, and so I'm like, "Oh shit, what is that? Okay, cool." So yeah. If you ever need to figure out a song, just sneak into the bathroom.
Get your phone, get your Shazam up.
What you got?
I think just since, the ability to download music, with the late 90s and like you said, with streaming with Spotify, it shares music in such a different way that it's almost free now. In a sense, it is. And so a lot of those musicians are making their money by doing live shows, and that's where the revenue comes in. But for me, technology has played that role because I can listen to a certain band, and then this app will pick up on that and find other things that I like about that band and give me other suggestions to listen to. That's one aspect that I love about it. Another one is you can just, find so many different things in general with Spotify. I think it's a fun tool, and without it, I think I'd be lost.
Yeah. Shout out.
It makes it so easy. And so accessible for anyone to get into the same stuff you're listening to in some one way or another.
Yeah.
I think and this isn't, we're not paid by Spotify.
We're not.
But
we should be. But we're not.
But I'll go ahead and give them a free little shout out. I'm so ingrained with I have so many fucking playlists on their stuff that I think they have me for life at this point. I'm like I have so many playlists that are 13 plus hours long. Yeah,
they know me. I'm their DJ. Shut up.
I think they have me whether I want them to or not.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I'm like asleep at 1 a.m. Hey man, how's it going? I'm like, no.
What if you listened to Herbie Hancock at 3 a.m? Hell yeah, I love it. Hell yeah. Any closing arguments in that regard before we move on?
No, love those questions. Good questions.
Excellent questions. Let's go ahead and move on into today's content. It's episode 80, the Soundtrack Showdown. Title, Work in Progress. Stick around. Hello. What's up, everybody? If you are a regular listener of this program and you watched our last or listened to our last episode, you'll recall that we said we're doing soundtracks this episode.
Kind of weird.
Yeah,
out of our normal comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
Wanted to. Not really.
We wanted to do a speedy kind of like gotcha themed episode. So we did soundtracks instead of we were going to do international, but pick a country. And we did soundtracks instead. It was really fun to kind of dive into this stuff. And I'm only familiar with a little bit of the content that we're talking about today. But man, some good stuff. Let's start it off with Matt's pick.
Do it.
We're going in chronological order. So Matt's is old as hell. So
it is pretty
why don't
old.
you tell us what it is?
It's older than me. 1969, but it's by a band that we love, Pink Floyd. And the soundtrack is from a movie called More. I've never seen the movie. I've never really sought out to see the movie just because I like the music on this. I don't want to ruin it by seeing a terrible movie. So That being
fair
said,
argument. A fucking fair argument. I mean,
that being said, there was a few other soundtracks that I was thinking about talking about, and one was the Apocalypse Now soundtrack.
oh my god,
It's got a lot of it's got
Nice.
a decent score, but then a few like 60s hits like The End and stuff like that from the 70s, Rolling Stones, and
Nice.
that was the only other one I think. Yeah,
hell yeah.
that's a good soundtrack and a weird
is.
movie, great movie too. But this soundtrack was unique because it's got a lot of songs that Pink Floyd. You would hear this song on one of their albums. I felt like there's a few songs in here that I could hear on Animals. There's a few songs I could hear on The Wall, and it was just really cool to see them kind of starting out. This is our third album, I think, the third studio album, the first soundtrack. As you and I were talking about, a lot of people consider The Wall a soundtrack, but we don't.
No,
we don't think that way.
No, I think it's cool that they did a companion piece movie that was conceptualized after The Wall was made. But to hear Floyd kind of go in the opposite direction before they end up doing The Wall, right? Because this is 10 years prior to that. Yeah. They kind of do the inverse, like they're given the movie as a prompt almost, or whatever. I don't know how making a soundtrack works.
Yeah.
But, kind of having to just write and perform something, and some of the songs on it are so out of the norm for Pink Floyd, even especially at the time. 1969 Pink Floyd is completely different. Like, we're talking fucking apples and pineapples when we're talking 1969 Floyd.
This is the first album without Syd Barrett, essentially.
Oh, that's true.
So that's like the transition point. David Gilmour's coming into his own, trying to find his voice.
That actually explains everything. That explains everything. But yeah, like 69 when this came out, 79 when The Wall came out, 10 years is a huge difference.
And you hear it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you hear it. And it's cool to see that maturity within that span of 10 years. And this is a fun album. It sounds like Waters is singing on some of the songs, but it's all Gilmour singing. Roger Waters did all the songwriting, but David Gilmour did all the singing. I read about that earlier.
Which is, I think, when they were at their strongest. I think Waters is a better Waters is a better songwriter. I like him sometimes more vocally, but Gilmour singing, Waters writing is...
Yeah, it's always been that way. Yeah. I like that way.
Yeah, me too.
It was good, man. It was like, I haven't also seen the movie. I don't plan to.
Yeah, right.
I tried seeing where it was streaming. I couldn't find anything. Maybe it's out there. I don't know. But it was good. It was good for a soundtrack. I liked it. Definitely, I hear a lot of Pink Floyd in it, obviously. But it's kind of cool seeing, like, this is way early in the time when they were, just starting off, and hearing all their projects afterwards that they did. Like, it's kind of cool seeing pinpointing it back to a little bit more towards the beginning. But some of the songs too, kind of like they feel a little spacey, a little ambient-y in a way, and a lot of them also like really mellow. There's only like a couple that are kind of, a little bit louder, but for the most part, it's like sounds like a good score to a movie. Like, I'd want to watch a movie if I didn't know. But yeah, it's good. How did you find this? And did you just like
being
stumble upon it?
Being a fan of Pink Floyd in high school, just kind of going through the discography and listening to everything, even like the 80s stuff, just trying to find all those good songs. I was like, fuck, this is a good... This is A Risky Point is another soundtrack that they're a part of.
Okay.
So is The Grateful Dead. They're on that soundtrack.
That's right. You and I have
another movie that I'd probably never see because it's just a random movie made back in the 70s.
It's because while I was listening to the soundtracks today, I was like reading the Wikipedia pages, as I do if we were just talking about fucking a different Pink Floyd album. But I was doing like the source material. Like, so I was looking up the film Tron Legacy. And I was reading the plot while listening to this album, and I was like, it almost makes sense. I'm like, but like, this is like, and if you've seen 3 from Hell, you'll understand out there, fans. It's like 3 from Hell, but worse, which is not my favorite of the Firefly trilogy, but just about some guy traveling in fucking Ibiza, and he finds essentially a streetwalker and does heroin with her. But this is the thing. I'm picturing all of this in like, if this was a movie that came out 2 months ago. No, you have to remember, this is 1969, so everybody looks like they're from the fucking Sound of Music. They all
could make movies about things like that.
Yeah.
And get away with it, right?
Yeah, heroin was borderline legal back then.
Yeah, depending on which country you're in, probably. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, it's an interesting soundtrack because, like you said, it doesn't sound like Pink Floyd sometimes. Like, this is way too heavy.
Yeah.
Or this is a little too out there for them. But it does get ambient, like you said, and that's what I love about it because that's where I think Pink Floyd shines a lot for me, is that ambient soundscape that they create. I remember having vivid acid trips listening to Pink Floyd, and they always were an album. The Wall was an album I put on, but this one as well.
Yeah.
Always an album we'd go to and be like, this is what you listen to when you're tripping.
There you go. And even if it's not like the super spacey, you know, truly what we would all agree is ambient, you know, like tracks like Quicksilver on this. I agree that like that's where Pink Floyd like does kind of shine, you know, on tracks like Hey You off of The Wall, Dogs we listened to on the way home last night. When Pink Floyd just says fuck it, we're gonna make a 12-minute long song. That's where they shine. They really shine when they're making these huge expansive pieces of music. So the fact that they have made not just this, but they also collaborated on Zabrisky's point with, again, the Grateful Dead, like those are the two artists that you're gonna have make a movie score together. I feel like if like, to be honest, because they're both the masters of making huge songs that keep people's attention from minute 1 to minute 17. Like, I've never been bored.
50 years later and beyond. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, glad you guys liked it.
Me too. I'm
not much to say about it. It's fucking
some
killer songs. That's good. Pink Floyd doing their thing.
Yeah. And it makes me happy that they did that because they went and repressed most of their discography back like 6 years ago. And I'm glad that they did more because it's like I'm sitting here, I'm like, I actually kind of want to pick this up just because, and you know, because I'm a big Floyd guy. But hell yeah, shall we top 3 it up then?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Starting off with the song I played out in the garage for our song picks, Main Theme. I like that instrumental, kind of spy-ish, creepy soundscape. Number 3, Cymbeline. Lyrically, it's just a fun song.
I love that song.
I think it's more about the record industry, and
so here, real quick,
which is funny.
It's about what?
The record industry a little bit.
Oh. I might have to go back and listen to that.
Yeah, some of the lyrics.
Okay.
Your manager and
yeah.
agent are both busy on the phone.
Your manager. That makes sense. Cymbeline gave me big David Bowie vibes, and Nile's song, as I explained, was like Uman was like almost. It was like Red Fang covered the Uman album, but listened to a lot of Pink Floyd beforehand. But yeah, Cymbeline I really liked because it was another one that I was like, what the hell is happening? I was listening to this like this is not a Pink Floyd album, and those were the 2 songs that I was like, what the fuck is going on? So shout out Cymbeline. Sorry, go ahead.
Number 2, just because it's a long song, and besides Dogs, I don't know very many long songs by Floyd, but Quicksilver.
Yep.
And then number 1 was Green as the Color, just because it's mellow and kind of showcases what else Pink Floyd can do. It's kind of folky and, I don't know, slower.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I can go. I got the honorable mention, the Nile song. I like that one. That and Sirius Minor, it's a very good intro. If that like starts off the movie, give me false hope that it'd be good.
Oh yeah.
Number 3, Cymbeline. Number 2, Ibiza Bar. That one feels a little bit more like a little bit more in your face, and then more blues. Was listening to that one on the way here, and it was good. I liked it.
The guitar is cool.
Yeah, that's when I was like, oh yeah, I was like, that's Gilmore. There he is.
Playing old blues scale or something.
Like, there he is. So honorable mentions for me: more blues and Up the Khyber. I felt like that one was kind of underrated. I was like, that's a pretty good song.
Yeah.
Number 3, Green is the Color. Love that one as well. Cymbeline, number 2, and the number 1 Nile song. Having that so early on, it threw me for such a loop. I was like, I can't deny that song kicks ass. So there's mine.
Good. Glad you guys tolerated it. It was
Absolutely.
Good.
Tolerate
this.
Cymbeline got added to a playlist or 2.
Oh, nice. That's high time.
Yeah. High time. Impressive stuff. More by Pink Floyd. the soundtrack to the movie of the same name from 1969, which was Matt's pick for this week. Go ahead and stick around. We're going to fast forward to about 2002 for my pick. It's What You Spin in episode 80, the soundtrack spectacular. Still working on a title. Stick around. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on with today's content. It's episode 80 of What You Spinnin'. We're covering soundtracks. There was no parameters other than it had to be a soundtrack. So I went with a video game soundtrack. I think everything I was considering. No. Okay. It was either the one I picked, the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack for the Super Nintendo.
Ooh.
Or, in a similar vein to yours, the Social Network soundtrack.
That's another good Atticus,
which was Atticus and Trent pre-Atticus joining Nine Inch Nails as a full member. Shout out both of those. Also want to give a quick shout out to one that we all know. I'm still pissed at myself that I missed out on getting Elden Ring soundtrack on vinyl.
Oh, that would have been sweet
That's
to
an
pick up on
incredible
vinyl.
soundtrack.
Yeah, on vinyl for sure.
The two soundtracks I do have, Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Nacho Libre. Also great soundtracks. Just want to shout those out.
I'm probably going to add that Elden Ring to my Discogs now, you son of a...
Dude. Yeah, I think I will too. But yeah, Donkey Kong Country, great soundtrack as well. That's one that I used to put on when I worked at the credit union with you. When I'd be in just putting in checks, I'd be like listening to Donkey Kong Country all the time, dude. Just and it led me down. I was super into soundtracks, and the other one I would listen to all the time was my pick for this week. I don't own it, unfortunately, but the soundtrack for Jet Set Radio Future by Sega. This is the one that was done by Hideki Naganuma. They did an amazing curated soundtrack as well of other artist stuff. I suggest you check that out. But I wanted to cover their in-house producer-composer and the work that he did on this. This is a game that came out in 2002, as I said. It was a double game on one disc. That was put in when you bought an Xbox. They did like a weird, when they used to do that, like combo pack.
It come with the game inside.
Yeah, it'd come with the game, and it was one disc, and it had Jet Set Radio Future and Sega GT 2002, which was just basically Gran Turismo knockoff. But it was also great. And yeah, had a lot of fucking fun with that, with both of those games, but particularly JSRF as it's abbreviated. Fucking goddamn, dude, this soundtrack. I've had songs from this soundtrack stuck in my head for 15 years, and I wish I was exaggerating. Yeah. But yeah, what'd you guys think?
Yeah, I have also, funny enough, had an encounter with this, not directly, but adjacent, I guess you want to say, because I also, one of my buddies, Diego, he had a Xbox, and we would play Sonic All-Star Racing.
Oh.
And that's why I asked you that one time. Like,
yeah.
Does this come up in other games? Because I swear to God, I had heard it before. And yeah, it was on that.
No shit.
Apparently, I was looking into it. So the character beat and like some of the stages, like the terminal and like the 99th Street and the highway, those are also stages in the game that you can play on the Sonic Racing.
Oh, wow.
So they have really like the stage and the soundtrack to go with it. And I had no idea, but that's why when I heard, what song is that? The first song on this.
Concept of Love.
Yeah, like the main menu one or whatever. I was like, this sounds super familiar. And yeah, it was. So yeah, not necessarily the whole game, the whole soundtrack of the game, but at least some. But listening to the whole thing, man.
Oh yeah,
that he cooked, dude. It was good. It's good.
It's like you're in the video game. It's going so fast. Songs like "Sweet Soul Brother" is just like a perfect example of that whole dynamic for a video game soundtrack and for a song behind a video game. And I can only imagine the gameplay.
Oh yeah,
it goes hand in hand, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's multiple because the whole concept is you're basically like a street ruffian, right? Rollerblading around, spray painting the streets of Tokyo, and you'll have to like. There's multiple missions where you're like racing against like cops and stuff, and Sweet Soul Brother was one of those where you're like grinding the entire time, just like like
doing flips and shit. Like
and there's so many like listening to it. I think it's just probably because of how much I can't stress. I played the shit out of this game. Like I was a huge Lego Star Wars kid. I played through both of those, beat them, and I was like, all right, time to play Jet Set Radio Future. Literally until I stopped playing that Xbox, I was playing this game. But yeah, they're listening to it, like songs like Humming the Bass Line brings me back to exactly like certain parts in the game, man. Just like driving, rollerblading backwards down the street, and it just makes you want to do that. Yeah. Like, there's been a couple of times where I've put this on and I like would skate to the corner store at like my old place, and it's just makes you want to. It is pretty upbeat and pretty fast paced, but there's some stuff on it that's worth checking out. Like if you really like sit there and dissect the songs, like It Like This, Like That, Fly Like a Butterfly, the bass line work on all of that is out of this world. So yeah, I've always loved this, and no shock to anybody that one of the first things that Machine Girl did was remix Let Mom Sleep. That's
pretty sweet.
Yeah. Because Let Mom Sleep was on Jet Set Radio, which was the first game, and then they did a couple remixes of songs off of the first one for this, and Let Mom Sleep was one of them. But yeah, Machine Girl did a couple remixes of that song, and it's pretty damn good, actually.
That's cool, because I like that song already as is. Now I want to hear Machine Girl's take on it, because it feels very like a lot faster than this Machine Girl.
Oh yeah,
with like hella jungle vibes. So, damn, that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Maybe we will hear it when we see them live.
Oh yeah. Hey, shout out. Shout out Machine Girl. We'll see you November 30th at the fucking Star Lounge. Cocksucker. No, that's gonna be a blast. Just a side tangent real quick. I'm actually really stoked for that show.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Jet Set Radio Future, there's a lot of weird stuff going on, oldies but happies, with like the woo, 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 woo. Yeah. Like it's almost corny, but I'm like, I don't care, man. I'm like, that is so cool. It's just oldies but a goodies. Yeah. It's just
it's perfect video game music in a sense.
It really is.
Flow with anything.
Like it's almost like I've played it and like played other games, like just whatever.
Yeah.
And like racing games, it's great for, not exactly great for Elden Ring, but like I'll like put headphones in and play like Super Mario 64 and like, running around those levels and stuff with that playing. It's pretty fun. Yeah. It's, he had no reason to cook this hard. Hideki Naganuma, he really just kicked too much ass on this soundtrack.
I like how that's what, like, because I tried looking more like if he had done other work. This is like his main, like doing Jet Set and then Jet Set Radio Future, like just doing the soundtrack to it. It's like what he's known for.
Yeah,
which is really cool. It's so 2000s too. Like it's textbook. Like you hear this in an old ass video game. That would be about rollerblading.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. Yeah. It's literally a time capsule for 2002. But it's crazy to like. But to me, the music behind it, even if you removed it from this context, like because obviously like neither of you have played the game. Like you had some familiarity with a little bit of it, but like it's almost timeless. Like I stumbled upon. I'm so glad that they put this out back in 2012 because they like finally put like a solid release of just his stuff out. Because a lot of the stuff that you were seeing was a mix of some of his stuff, some of the curation, and I'm glad that they just highlighted him because it holds up with a lot of stuff I'm hearing today. Like I'm sitting there listening, I'm like, geez, and I mean, when just to tie onto it again, when Machine Girl did the remixes, that was like barely 10 years ago that happened. Like it was like 10 maybe. So yeah, please listen to the music, play the game if you can.
If I could get an old ass Xbox, like I would. It's not backwards compatible, which is lame.
It's not.
But if I could get an old one and play it, that'd be sweet.
And this is what's because I have wanted this. Like I kind of told you guys this in the garage. I rank this in my top 3 favorite games of all time. Like, and I was telling you guys, like, I realized it might be the nostalgia goggles.
Yeah.
I was like, but I don't think it is. I was like, I actually vehemently believe it might be a good game. It might be a killer game from fucking 22 years ago. But yeah, the fan base for it is so dedicated, like wants it to come back so bad. And the guys that made it, they're like, we are too old. Like we couldn't make what we made 22 years ago. And it's like, just remaster it. Just remaster Future and then put it out. Like we don't give a fuck about a new one.
I saw they were like rumoring a third one, weren't they, or something?
They were rumoring a third one. Then they said that the only one that's been said that they're going to do a remaster of is Jet Set Radio, which is a decent game. I haven't played it a whole lot, but man, like everybody wants Radio Future. Like they don't want Jet Set Radio. They're like, no, give us this one. Like just give it to us again. And it's always said the game was awesome, but the soundtrack combined with it is what really just made it all work.
How could you not, man? I wish I would have had an Xbox like to play that.
Oh yeah.
That would have been fucking sweet.
Trust me, it's I'm about, after dedicating 2 weeks to listening to this album, I'm at the point where I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna find one. I'm gonna find a copy because I gotta scratch the itch, and it's just gonna be hooked up in the office. Anyway, let's go ahead and top 3 it up. I'll go first. Honorable mentions for me, I mentioned it earlier, Oldies But Happies. Nice. Great. I do have a note right here. That's Enough. That song where it's like the music just turns me on. That voice line has been sampled for decades. I don't think that was the first time it was used. If it is, that's pretty cool. But house music for like the past 15 years has been using that. Ooh, turns me on. Like it's like some weird vocal sample. Cool. But I heard that a while ago, and I was like, oh, holy shit, I've mixed with songs that use that vocal sample. So shout out That's Enough. But yeah, Oldies But Happies is my first honorable mention. Second one is Hummin' the Bass Line. Just a simple little hip hop beat with, just great stuff on that one. Number 3, Like It Like This Like That. That was the song that was stuck in my head for probably 12 years before I decided, fuck it, I have to figure out what that song is called so I can listen to it. And thus here we find ourselves to where I've been listening to the soundtrack since. Number 2 for me is Let Mom Sleep. That was an early one or a late one to jump into my top 3 this week. I literally think like Wednesday, I was like, I cannot get enough of this song. I'm trying to get some sleep. Just incredible. Number 1, Techno Pathetic. Honestly,
nice.
I was not expecting that to be my number 1. I've always been a fly like a butterfly kind of guy, but Techno Pathetic just with that. It has no business being this like the stuff that he's doing is so stupid. From like a production standpoint, like DJing, I'm like, how, dude? I can't mix any of this. I've tried. It's impossible, but goddamn, do I love listening to it. So yeah, Techno Pathetic. Go ahead, if you listen to anything, listen to that song. Jet Set Radio Future, 2002. Who's next?
I'll go.
Yeah, who's next for top 3?
I don't know if mine will top that, but fuck. Honorable mention. I'm gonna do Rocket On. I liked Rocket On.
That's a great one too.
That one was really good. It felt like day and age, like kind of jungle almost. Like it was like fast paced, very like it's got a good beat on it, consistent beat. Number 3, Shape the Future.
That's
really like that one.
Ooh, you're gonna dig this.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
Also, like the end, I noticed. I don't know if that was part of it or if that was just additional stuff they added to like the playlist. But like the Sega sound team was doing some stuff. Was that like just like additional like?
Those were like end of mission, like the ones that you're talking about. The ones that are like 5 seconds long.
Yeah,
those were like end of mission screens.
Okay,
so it'd be
cool.
like, and your guy would be, bam, strike a pose.
Cool. That's cool. I like some of those too. They were like, they were like quirky. They were like cool. Like if you see that at the end,
and it would kind of like allude to some of the stuff from like the actual soundtrack. Like it'd have the hum and the bass line stuff.
Yeah. Number 2, Techno Pathetic. That one's really good. Definitely listen to it. And then my favorite, Sneak Man. Sneak Man was really good. It really caught my eye.
Sneak Man's a good one. Yeah. Hell yeah.
It was a band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, striking the pose.
Fuck yeah, I like that. That was good. Honorable mention for me, just because it summed up the game dynamic, was Sweet Soul Brother. So goofy. 3, Shape the Future. 2, The Concept of Love. I just thought that was kind of a catchier song on the album.
Oh, yeah.
Or track, whatever you want to call it. And I like Techno Pathetic as well, just based on the title alone.
Oh, yeah.
And the song is fun as hell. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, this is probably one of the few video game soundtracks I've heard, and this is a great one to choose. So this is fun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, good job. You did your homework for sure.
Yeah. You played your homework.
I played my homework. I ate my homework and played my vegetables, mama. That was Jet Set Radio Future, the Hideki Naganuma version of the soundtrack. Worth giving a listen. Also, go ahead and check out the curated soundtrack as well. Great stuff on both sides. One of the greatest games of all time. Yeah, that's my pick for this week. Released in 2002. We'll go ahead and wrap it up with Jake's. It's Whatchu Spinnin' episode 80, the soundtrack scrapyard.
To your lives.
Hell yeah. Oh, hold on. Give me 1 second here. Whoa.
Did you get it? Did you get the fly?
I did. I got the fly. Who's stoked to talk about this album? I know I am. Yeah, so it's time to finalize the chronological timeline of episode 80 of Whatchu Spinnin', which means we're now in within the last 20 years, at least. Still pretty far away from where we are currently in time. With Jake's pick for this week, what you got for me, buddy?
Yeah, so honorable mention that I was going to bring up, there was a couple. Initially, I thought movie soundtracks, so 2001 Space Odyssey came up.
Incredible.
Almost brought that one up. And then yesterday that we were looking around at stores, we saw The Matrix. That one was a good one. It's brought up a lot of artists that we've already talked about.
I'm low-key kicking myself in the ass. I didn't try to snag that from you yesterday. I was telling her about it. I was like, yeah, did you know like fucking My Own Summer was on that fucking thing? Like, there's a Prodigy song
yeah,
on there.
like Pella Heads, everything on there. But for my pick, I brought up it's Tron Legacy, the soundtrack. Came out in 2010 for the movie, the Disney movie. Disney did like a remake of the original Tron, their own spin on it. The soundtrack, it's made by Daft Punk, so that was my selling point of it for sure. And with the movie, kind of seeing that, pretty sweet. I forgot to open it, but the insert, it's a gatefold that just has both of them. Just
does it?
You know, and just being chilling in the fucking in the studio.
Take a picture of that for me and send it to me tonight.
But yeah, just it's a cool like mix of like electronic music that Daft Punk is known for, and like kind of like orchestra, and it's very orchestral like how it is. But yeah, what did you guys think about it?
I thought it was cool to see a different side of this band in particular, because we've reviewed an album before and seeing that side was awesome. But this, you saw what else they could do, and it's just a good glimpse into that. And I've never seen this remake. I remember the original Tron, but the music for this just flows so well. Songs like Rectifier and Recognizer are just so epic. They build. Some of them are, like you said, are more ambient, which is nice too. And having both sides of that scale with Daft Punk was great. They're so talented. And I love that inside cover. That was sweet. It was sweet.
Yeah. Love to see him troned out like that. Yeah. And like I was kind of saying, I saw this movie in theater, and it was kind of around the time where I was getting like Daft Punk was coming onto my map, you know, like they were kind of in my radar at the time. And I didn't understand like the extent that they did. I thought they just did the stuff that had a beat to it. I was like, oh, cool. They did like a couple songs. And until after the fact, when I went and listened to this, because I've listened to this, I think once before, I was like, oh shit, no, they did like the entire soundscape-esque thing of it. Jake, wasn't I there when you fucking bought this?
I think so.
I think it was it was like an RSD or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, I remember when you bought this, and I was like, Jesus Christ! I was like, that's a hell of an album. The movie is not the best. The soundtrack really does it for me. Is really
yeah. The movie gets trashed on a lot, I feel like.
Yeah, it's not horrible, but I don't think it
it's not
deserves.
bad.
I don't think it deserves half the shit that it gets dunked on. But I mean, the soundtrack alone, you know, listening to it, you mentioned it, like Rectifier, Recognizer, all those tracks. It's like I can almost remember a movie I've only seen one time. The soundtrack was that significant that I can almost remember what scene that was.
Exactly.
You know, and like dual disc, I mean, that's kind of, you know, a little on the nose. You know exactly what scene that was, but it's like, yep, that is the music that played during that. Or Flynn's Alive, another song that's been sampled a shit ton in anything from heavy dubstep to house music. Yeah, so shout out, man.
Yeah, it's cool also that if you listen to this and you were listening to Daft Punk, you liked Daft Punk at the time, they came out with like a reconfigured album of this movie with like a bunch of different people just remixing it and
Ooh, that
making
sounds
it.
cool.
Like Glitch Mob.
Oh my God.
There was a Moby song that Son of Flynn, they did a remix of Son of Flynn, Moby did. Com Trues is on here, a V Sheet. So yeah, it was like some pretty big names also like kind of trying to mix it to their own. But yeah, man, it's when I initially watched the movie, that's why I was like captivated and wanting to watch it, because I was like, oh, fucking Daft Punk. I love Daft Punk.
Oh yeah.
So kind of seeing not only their work on their studio albums, but like in live action, like putting an image to the music was just so fucking cool. And like younger me just looking at that, listening to that, like kind of amplified that feeling a lot more. But yeah, man, originally I think they got offered to do the soundtrack like a year or two before, and that they had already been like conceptualizing it, how they're going to make it and stuff.
Yeah, there was like some weird hiccup with it, like because I think one of them had already done stuff. They wanted God damn it, I'm trying to remember, but there was something to where like one of the guys making the film wanted both of Daft Punk, like them as a group, to be on a different project, and only one of them could make that work. And then, but because of that relationship already, it was like a shoo-in that Daft Punk got asked to do this.
They were also like always on tour, like around this time they were touring.
Oh yeah, it was their heyday.
They were doing like a live album, and yeah, man, like initially when they got called on to do this, like they were trying to figure out how they would make it, like because Daft Punk is very just electronic, like it's, you know, that's what they do. They just use a, you know, like a beat machine and do it that way. But like in some interviews, like they were saying like they want to like actually make the whole feeling of it, like the whole soundscape, like you said. So they add that electronic with like orchestra, like live, you know, live strings, like sound. And yeah, man, you get songs like how we listened to out there earlier,
Adagio for
Adagio, man, like you hear this like grand, like theatrical feeling to it that they're making. And then you have songs like Derezed or, you know, like The Armory, like super bass heavy, super like, yeah, it's, you know, it's a cool little like twist that they're doing to their sound.
And shit, hold on. Okay, sorry, that's what I was gonna say. I don't think that there's another soundtrack that you can make for it either. It's like, even though this soundtrack is, you know, there's no like, it's not like they're saying we are Tron Legacy, like there's no vocals being like Tron. You can't strip this soundtrack away from Tron Legacy and put it on like a Star Trek movie, and you can't put another thing to the movie itself. Like I feel like they're so integral to each other.
Oh yeah,
that it's it would be a disservice to not have either.
It fits perfectly.
Yeah. it's really, it's like, wow, like when you when you listen to it, like I said, the fact that I'm remembering a movie I've seen once and it was over a decade ago is crazy, just based off of the soundtrack. That just shows you how it just out of the, like, they just really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. It was cool though also that you guys mentioned that for the future Tron or whatever that 9 Inch Nails is gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Tron Ares, I think, is the name of the film, and I think it's late 2025 or early 26, and 9 Inch Nails is going to do the soundtrack for that one, which that's the only substitute I would even remotely flirt with, like having
Pretty
the
much.
conversation of who replaces Daft Punk on Tron Legacy. I'd be like, maybe 9 Inch Nails,
Yeah,
but I
that's a
don't
maybe.
want it to happen. That's the problem. And then
Yep.
it's like, all right, well, we'll make a movie so they can do it. It's like, okay, cool, I'll take it.
Different spin on it. I'm sure it'll be a lot different.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Any?
No, I'm glad you guys liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Definitely one for if you like dance, EDM, whatever. You could get into it super easily.
Yeah.
And it really gives the film so much more credibility as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we want to top 3 it up,
Yeah.
you got something?
Just trying to remember. I think I'm just like remembering the movie a little bit more now, and I'm like, yeah, man, the movie was actually pretty tight. I'm like, the movie doesn't deserve all the shit it gets.
It really
man.
doesn't, man.
The light bikes race, dude. The bike
Those are
race.
fucking sick.
I wanted one of those bikes. I still want them to
I
make
still
one.
want one.
fuck a Cybertruck. Give me a light bike from Tron, dude. I'll fucking.
Yeah, the flying shits.
Oh,
that they
yeah.
have, all the lights. The lights
Yeah.
were cool too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out Daft Punk. Shout out Tron. Shout out the new Tron. Shout out 9 Inch Nails. Let's top 3 it up, baby.
Yeah. Honorable mention. I'm gonna go with Clue. I
good
like
one.
that towards the end of this in the movie too. It is very like you could put the scene to every song perfectly. Another thing that was really cool, I forgot to mention this, but when I would play Xbox and I'd play Forza, like I'd be doing races and stuff. Oh yeah. And I would have this playing in my ears, like in my earbuds. And it was the sweetest thing ever.
Oh yeah.
It was the coolest
yeah.
thing ever.
I bet.
The most badass. Like if they had bikes in Forza, I would have been bike racing like on nonstop. But they don't.
It's like they have them in GTA 6 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they do have the Tron bike. That's right.
Oh, they have a Tron bike in
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking cool. That's fucking cool. Yeah, that's my honorable mention. Clue. Number 3, fuck, man. Let me look at my notes here. Number 3, Rinsler. That one's really good. That one's very, like, that's when they're announcing, I think, him in the movie. And it's
Yeah.
like, fuck yeah. Number 2, The Armory. That one just hypes me up for some reason.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't fucking know why. And then my favorite that I've been listening to a lot more that we played out there, Adagio. Bro, like that's where I hear that like shift that they're doing, like making it movie-esque, like, you know, bringing an album to a movie, to a soundtrack. It was good.
That was kind of like this is Daft Punk really trying, you know, to do it. I agree. I also agree with one of your honorable mentions. Clue was mine as well. My second one was Derezed. Really liked the lead in from End of the Line into that. If you were to look at it from an album standpoint, I don't recall if that's how it was in the movie.
I don't know.
But shout out to whoever made the track list because those songs flowed perfectly together. Outside of that, number 3, Rinsler, same, because I was like, I feel like this is like kind of in the beginning, like what is it called? The rising action in the storyboard mountain. Shout out all my literature nerds out there. Number 2, Sea of Simulation. I also remember that scene very specifically
nice.
because I was like, the Sea of Simulation, that sounds so fucking cool.
Yeah, baby.
I just want to be out there. And then number 1, Flynn Lives, just because I didn't realize how sampled that like chord progression was in modern like electronic music, no matter what subgenre. I've heard that burn, 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 like that. You know what I mean? That like overture that it does. I've heard that sampled a shit ton in the past 10 years. So thought that was really cool, and that was another good part of the movie that I do remember. So shout out.
Yeah, I'm gonna go watch the movie now that I've heard the soundtrack. Honorable mention for me was Solar Sailor. I like that one.
Another great one.
Another
great
catchy
one,
song.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the ones I picked have kind of a theme of more of a like epic soundscape. Number 3, Recognizer. Number 2, The Grid, and then I like Rectifier for my top pick.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good one too.
The Grid is a good one too.
Yeah,
I love me some Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's why, because he was throwback from the '80s version. Yeah.
And that's what's cool is like he's the only known, because I think like something Garrett Hedlund or something is like the only known guy, but it was before he was big. Yeah, this like movie didn't have a lot of like huge people. On it, other than Jeffy B. Hell yeah. That was Tron Legacy, released in 2010. A soundtrack for a Disney movie done entirely by Daft Punk. The last time they did something that cool is when they had Phil Collins do the fucking Tarzan soundtrack. So sometimes, I think it's like once every 30 years, Disney figures it the fuck out and they hire an artist to do a soundtrack. Shout out to him. But anyway, that was Jake's pick for this week. That there concludes episode 80 of Whatchu Spinnin', the soundtrack spectacular, which I think we'll go ahead and call this for the rest of the episode, the soundtrack spectacular. I'm Dorian. That's Jake. That's Matt. Go ahead and stick around. We'll tell you what's coming next. It's Whatchu Spinnin'. All right, gangstas and gangstettes. It's about time to put a big old fat bow on this bad boy and tell y'all what's coming next week, or I guess 2 weeks from now on Whatchu Spinnin'. We go in the order that we spoke today, which means, Matt, you're up. What you got, baby?
Fresh off the press, and since it's kind of a Halloween-themed episode, we're going with Marilyn Manson's self-titled 1993 album, Portrait of an American Family. A little evil, lyrically and musically. It's all over the place. But for 1993, it's, pretty out there.
I was trying to predict what people would pick based off of what they picked up yesterday. And I said, there's an outside chance Matt just picks Portrait of an American Family, because again, if you're a fan of the show, you'll remember a couple episodes back I asked what is your current white whale that you're looking for, that you're wanting to see in person in a record store. Matt's was Portrait of an American Family. Saw it yesterday at Music Millennium, right?
Yep.
Hell yeah, shout out.
It was meant to be.
Well, funny enough that you do that, because I'm bringing up an album by somebody in a similar vein. I considered the two of these, Marilyn Manson and this guy, to be called part of what I call the Creeps. I'm going The Sinister Urge by Rob Zombie. Nice. When the hell was this released? I don't think it was 2001. It might be 2001. But yeah, Sinister Urge by Rob Zombie.
Revisiting the zombie.
Mm-hmm. A revisit.
The Zombo.
Tis the season.
In case anybody's wondering, the other Creeps are Alice Cooper and King Diamond. Those are I was like the four creeps of metal: Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson, Alice Cooper, and King Diamond.
Yes, creeper. Yeah. In that case, I like this theme that we're going a little spooky.
Mm-hmm. Are you gonna join us?
I also, I don't know if it's necessarily spooky, but the cover looks a little spooky. But Portishead Dummy. Nice. Just got this a couple weeks ago, last week actually. Mm-hmm. Up in Portland. Came out in 94.
Nice. Wonderful. Hell yeah.
Some fun picks, boys.
I love Matt's album. Very familiar with that one. Jake's was an album that I told myself, I was like, if I find this local ever, I'm going to buy it. I've never heard it, but I was like, Portishead Dummy. It's in the 1001 Albums book.
Nice.
And I was like, I've never heard it, but it sounds like something I'd like. I'm just going to buy it and listen to it that way. So I'm stoked to get to force to listen to it. And Sinister Urge by Rob Zombie, baby. I mean, what the fuck? It's his second album that he ever put out. It's pretty sick. And that'll be right in time for Halloween, because I think the next time we record after next, it's like 2 days after Halloween. So that'll be right in time.
Nice.
But yeah, Matt's going with Portrait of American Family by Marilyn Manson. I'm going with The Sinister Urge by Rob Zombie. And Jake's going Dummy by Portishead. And yeah, that's Jake. That's Matt. I'm Dorian. Please go ahead and tell everybody you know about our podcast. We are everywhere. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere that an RSS feed feeds to. Still don't know what the hell it means, but we got it. And yeah, follow us on Instagram at Whatchu Spinnin. Follow me at Dorian Dilly. Got some concert stuff I've been posting. Nice. Good way to keep in touch with the podcast is follow both those pages. And I need one more follower to hit 100, I saw today. So hook a brother up. Nice. But anyway, this has been Whatchu Spinnin' episode 80, the soundtrack spectacular. Go ahead and join us 2 weeks from now for episode 81. It's going to be real spooky, but real fun. Take it easy, have some fun, eat some good food, and don't eat too much Halloween candy, and check it for razor blades. It's Whatchu Spinnin'.